Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined by Bryan Leonard. We're going to talk about NBA. We're starting the second half of the season. We're taping on Thursday. This is the first night of the second half of the NBA season. And Bryan, I want to kind of do a little checklist of recapping the first half of the season, what we can look at, and the surprises, disappointments maybe, and look ahead to what the second half of the season is going to bring. Who are these teams that look like contenders? Are they true contenders or are they pretenders? And is there any sleepers out there? And when I look at it, the first thing you got to start with is the Atlanta Hawks. Let's start in the East, because first of all, the East is always going to get bashed because the West is so strong, you know, from top to bottom. So we'll start in the East and say nobody saw this coming. I'm sorry. You might have said Atlanta was a playoff team because they were last year, and there's not a lot here. Maybe some improvement, but did you see this coming?
I didn't see it coming, but there's a couple guys I know that are really good in the NBA, and they said it before the season. I got to give them credit because Atlanta, I just expected them to be the normal Hawks team, just a fringe playoff team, just like they've been the last how many years?
Yeah. What's making Atlanta so good is they've got like 5 guys. They're playing true team basketball. They don't got anybody in like any of the top categories, but they're all balanced across the board. And it's what that makes for toughness against other teams is when you've got 1 or 2 people that got to carry a team. If somebody gets hurt, you got a major problem. If somebody's got an off night, you got a major problem that night. When you got a team like Atlanta, the way they're playing, one guy can miss a few games or one guy can have that off night. There's so much balance there, they're not missing a beat. And I think that's the key.
My favorite part about Atlanta is consistency. They will play the top teams in the league. The next day they'll play the bottom teams in the league, and you always get a solid effort out of them. They never throw in a clunker, and how rarely do we see that in the NBA? The only problem with that is as the season winds down, they may run into a brick wall because they're doing that, because they don't take games off. As for right now, though, how many people are actually believing in Atlanta? I think there's still value on Atlanta. And when you take a look at Atlanta against the top teams in the league, they've been tremendous. They've been just as good as any other team in the league when they play the elite teams.
Yeah, they had one spot. It was right before the All-Star break, a couple days before the All-Star break that I jumped in. They had what I called a statement game. They played on a Friday night. They played Golden State. It was whoever carries the NBA on Friday. It was the marquee game that night. And they took it to Golden State. That was the test. That was, hey, look, we are for real. Mm-hmm. Here's the best team out of the West. Look at this. I immediately, as I'm watching that game, I'm flipping through my schedule book. Who do they got next? Who do they got next? And they played Memphis, right. That team that plays that frustrating defense that, you know, takes teams out of their rhythm. And it's a great segue. Let's go to Memphis. This is a team I like. I think this team's going to make a deep run. This is a team that's been a playoff team, you know, every year. They were a team that they had a coach that got them right to the cusp every year, but they couldn't get, you know, to that last level. Couldn't get to the Western Conference Finals. They either lost or whatever, and they got rid of them. Got a new guy come in, and they haven't missed a beat. They're still playing well. And the West, you watch the basketball. The teams go up and down the floor, up and down the floor. And then when you play Memphis, you're not going up and down the floor. And I think it frustrates them. It's like in football when you got a team that can run the football well and you got a high-flying passing offense. What's the best way to beat that team? Keep them on the sidelines, frustrate them from what they're doing. And when Memphis playing their defense and their style of basketball, slowing the pace of the game down and make you work for your shots, I think it frustrates those teams.
Yeah, I like Memphis also. The only problem is when you get to the playoffs, it's a different ball game. Everybody slows it down. There's not as much running. And they always say you need 2 superstars to win an NBA championship. I'm not sure Memphis has got that. They're sort of like Atlanta, more of a team concept at this point. We will see, but I'd love to see Memphis make it to the championship in the, at least to the Final Four or the conference championship in the West.
Absolutely. Last team I'm going to ask you about, because we're running a little long on this one, your Cleveland Cavaliers. Everybody automatically penciled in because of LeBron, and you've been doing this too long. I've been doing it too long. We knew too much hype that it was going to take time. It's taken time. They made a trade. That's paid big dividends. Kevin Love, jury's still out. He's playing better now. Is accepting the role, but the team definitely was on a roll going into the All-Star break. And I think the key that started it, one, it needed time to gel. But I think when LeBron was out, and that period of time that he was sitting on the bench watching the games from the sideline, I think he got to really look and see, and he got to see what all of the pieces around him, what their strengths and weaknesses were, and now they got an offense. He knows what to do, how they should attack with what they got. I think that's my take on it.
Yeah, well, it was two things. Number one is when you put a group of people, and we talked about this in baseball, when you put a group of people together that haven't played together, it's going to take them a while to get going. That's exactly what happened, and I think Cleveland's a team to beat in the East right now. I'm going to throw something else at you. I know we're trying to keep this short. Sacramento Kings, George Karl. We've joked over the years about Sacramento. George Karl has come in halfway through the season twice in his career, and those teams have been big money makers. The thing is, he doesn't like the long two-pointers. And that's what Sacramento does a lot of right now, especially with their best player, Cousins. But I think this is a team right now that could be a big money maker. Now they've got a proven winner at coach. And go back and check the spread records of the career. Yeah, he's a great spread coach, great taking these young players.
I thought it was idiotic that Denver got rid of him.
Well, he wins Coach of the Year, then the next year they fire him.
Yeah.
Just because you lose in the playoffs in a small sample size.
Right.
Yeah. And what's Denver done since?
Yeah. Don't want to call people out, but I thought that was an idiotic move by them.
Probably was not the best.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. And so you're saying you look for Sacramento to put the buy sign on them.
Keep an eye on Sacramento.
Be underrated. All right, guys. Hope that helped you guys heading into the second half of the NBA season. We'll be back next week. We'll take some more in-depth. We're going to try to give you guys more of these kind of videos where it's not necessarily just throwing a pick at you, but talking some theory and some angles and some things to look at so you can find better winners yourself as well. He's Bryan Leonard and Marco D'Angelo. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.